We pray for the families that have problems with the and we have problems with electricity, food, and water. And we pray for those families that lost loved ones, because of the cold. And we ask you to continue to bless SWTJC College, students, faculty, and staff. We pray that you will be with us tonight to guide us in our decision making so that we may be a benefit to our students, staff, and faculty. And we obviously just press on.
The meeting of the Board of Trustees of Southwest Texas Junior College will please come to order. Dr. Rivera, will you please read the minutes of January 21, 2021, please, board meeting?
Yes, sir. The Board of Trustees of Southwest Texas Junior College met in regular session January 21st, 2021 via Zoom. Board President Roosevelt Flores called the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Board members present were Roosevelt Flores President, Dr. Harry O. Watkins Vice President, Dr. Antonio H. Rivera Secretary, Maria Elena Lara, Victor Lopez, Tony T. Moreno, and Anita Shackelford. Also present was Dr. Hector Gonzalez, President of the College. The minutes of the December 10, 2020 regular board meeting were read and approved as presented by Dr. Antonio H. Rivera Secretary. Board President Flores welcomed guests to the meeting, which included college personnel N. Tarski, Derek Sandoval, Margot Mata, Mark Underwood, and Ismael Martinez. Audience opinions are none. Quarterly investment report was presented by N. Tarski. Preliminary enrollment spring 2021 report presented by Dr. Gonzalez. And President's report was presented by Dr. Hector Gonzalez. President Flores, welcome. A motion was made by and second by Maria Lara to approve the December 31st, 2020 financial statement as presented by N. Tarski. Motion carried unanimously. A copy is attached. Motion was made by Maria Elena Lara and second by Dr. Harry O. Watkins to approve dual credit memorandum and the early college high school memorandum. Motion carried unanimously. A copy is attached. A motion was made by Anita Shackelford and second by Maria Elena Lara, authorizing the college president to sign dual credit memoranda and early college high school memoranda. Motion carried unanimously, and a copy is attached. A motion was made by Victor Lopez and second by Tony T. Moreno to accept the proposed changes to purpose, mission, and belief statements. Motion carried unanimously, and a copy is attached. The TASB update 40 item was tabled until February 2021 board meeting. After convening in open session, Board President Flores called the board into executive session at 8:03 p.m. to consider A, evaluation of the president under the Texas Government Code 551.074, B, employees terminated, resigned, retired, new hires, and transfers under Texas Government Code 551.074. At 8:50 p.m., the Southwest Junior College Board reconvened in regular session. A motion was made by Tony T. Moreno and second by Victor Lopez to extend college president Dr. Hector Gonzalez his contract through July 31st, 2024. Motion carried unanimously, and a copy is attached. With no further business or action items to discuss, Anita Shackelford make the motion to adjourn. Maria Elena Lara second the motion, and the motion carried at 8:52 p.m.
Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? If not, they will stand approved as read. We're glad to have our guests. I don't have the names, but we're glad to have all of you. Do we have any audience?
No audience to patrons.
President's report?
Yes, sir. Item number 5 in your board packet. So this month, we're bringing you the next installment of the strategic plan. And this is includes the three major goals that will anchor our strategic plan for 2021 through 2026. And I won't go into a lot of detail because they're an agenda item on its own. COVID-19 continues to trend downward. We had a high at the beginning of January, and it's been trending downward. So that's a positive sign. Our faculty and staff have received authorization to take the COVID vaccine. So they're signing up and getting those vaccines taken care of. So vaccinations are gaining momentum with our staff as they are with the community. Del Rio Roofs, we're still in disagreement with our insurance provider on the amount of the damages that they are willing to pay for versus the estimate that we received from a third party. So we're still working on the next steps there with that. We have not finalized that claim. For summer and the fall 21 plan, so I just want to share with you, we've had meetings with both staff and faculty advising them of our my thoughts, my ideas, my perspective on where we're headed in the fall, in the summer, and then in the fall. So it's my expectation that towards the end of spring, more than likely towards the end of April, going into May, we'll start resuming more of an on-campus presence from our staff in preparation to have students back, academic students back on campus in the summer. Caveat there is provided that there's no new surprises, that cases continue to trend the way they are, vaccines continue to gain momentum. So those are kind of the caveats that I've laid out for our staff and employees. But our plan for in the short term is to reopen our daycare in April. We'll reopen with limited capacity. We'll also reopen the cafeteria. Again, limited capacity, probably more grab and go, to go food, leading us into summer one. So in summer, I've instructed our team to offer between 20 and 40% of our classes in a face-to-face format. So they built a schedule around that directive, and we're also going to open the dorms under limited capacity for the summer. And I say limited capacity for the summer, so we've got our emergency, our reopen plan that we had crafted last year for fall. We're dusting that off, making modifications with what we've learned, what other institutions have learned in going with face-to-face classes this year, making those changes and really testing out those protocols in the summer as we get ready for the fall. So for fall 21, our expectation is to have between 50 and 70% of our courses in a face-to-face format. Have our staff back on campus, full capacity by August, and have full faculty back by convocation week, which is like the second or third week in August. I wanted to provide that direction to our team so they have plenty of time to develop and implement the protocols necessary to open their building, their particular building, give sufficient notice to our maintenance team to make preparations for classroom, additional sanitation that might be required, and also to give notice to our employees, that they're used to working in a remote setting, from a computer, and to, understand that we have a transition coming and we're coming back to the way things used to be with some modifications. On the back page there, on the other side, I want to talk a little bit about CARES funding. So even though we have our CARES amount, and it's a little over $6 million in CARES money that we were allotted, plus an additional $2 million for students, we're still awaiting official results official rules to be published on what exactly those institutional monies can go towards. We've, as I stated last month, we've been given general guidelines as to the intent of those funds, but we have not seen the specific rules. So with that said, we have the following categories that we're reserving money out of those institutional cares funds. Obviously, the emergency student aid, we've awarded $812,000 year to date, and there's a big chunk going out here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. In addition to that, out of this new money, we're looking to replace lost revenue in the dorms, cafeteria, daycare, tuition and fees. So that's going to be a significant amount out of the $6 million. The other big piece is upgrade our technology infrastructure to handle the additional network traffic. We're looking to invest into smart classroom technology. You know, as we move into beyond COVID, there's a lot of efficiencies and accessibility that we gain through Zoom lectures and remote learning. So we want to have that capacity to be able to not only bring the students back on campus in a face-to-face format, but also have the option for those students that maybe have a long commute or some barrier that prevents them from coming to campus, to have this alternative and be able to engage in a classroom through Zoom lectures. So we think that has a significant place in the future of college education. And in order to do that from our classrooms, we need to invest in smart technology, and that goes right in line with what CARES is intended for. So we're planning on using a significant amount of the CARES money to really upgrade our technology in each of the classrooms to be able to facilitate both students in a face-to-face format as well as those in a remote setting. And also, you know, continue with our COVID mitigation expenditures with the purchase of masks, sanitation misters, PPE, perhaps some HVAC ventilation to improve the air circulation in classrooms, air purifiers in the classrooms, those kind of things. And this is by all means not an inclusive list, but those are kind of the major categories that we've identified for our CARES funding. And I didn't include here because it didn't happen, but I want to talk a little bit about the snow. What did you call it, Derek? The snowmageddon, or I can't say.
Snowpocalypse.
Snowpocalypse.
Armageddon?
Yep. Yeah, snowpocalypse. So obviously we had a very traumatic event that hit not only our region, but the entire state with the deep freeze that we had last week. On the Uvalde campus, we were fortunate not to lose power. However, our satellite campuses did lose power. Del Rio did lose power, Eagle Pass, Crystal City. We did lose water on all campuses. We didn't have any major issues. We had burst water lines in several buildings that our maintenance crew is, I think they've got them all taken care of at this point, but that was pretty much the extent, is burst water lines in some of the buildings that we have. We ended up canceling instruction for the week just because it was it was difficult for us to, you know, even though we had power on the Uvalde campus, our faculty are teaching from their home and, you know, don't have power. A lot of our students didn't have power. So it was best for us to just cancel classes for that week. And that was pretty much across the board in the state of Texas for community colleges. There are some exceptions in, you know, El Paso, Amarillo, you know, they're not on the main grid that we're in. So they were kind of spared the loss of power. But it was a major disruption to to the entire state, and obviously to us in the form of instruction. Our teams distributed, we didn't have potable water Monday and Tuesday. We provided bottled water. We opened campus back up on Monday, and we provided bottled water for those tech students that were coming back on campus. So that's kind of a recap of what happened last week. And then you have the upcoming events there listed for your viewing. We did have a Senate Finance hearing yesterday. We had our association president present, as well as one of the community college presidents and one trustee president, and they presented on behalf of all 50 community colleges. It was very well received, from the Senate Finance Committee. So I think they did a great job, and it's hopeful. Let's see if we can, get a little more funding out of that exercise. That's all I have as the president's report, Mr. Floyd.
Thank you. It's a good report. Again, I would like to compliment our student nurses and our faculty for the work they have been doing at the Civic Center with COVID-19. They've done a great job. They have not been given the recognition that I think they should be getting, but they're doing a great job. And I congratulate them again. Next item is consider an act on financial statement as January 31, 2021.
Number 6 in your board packet is the financial statement for the period ended January 31st, 2001. We had educational income in the amount of $20,424,000. Student aid, $6,512,000. Auxiliary enterprises had revenue in the amount of $83,000, making our total income $27,019,000. We had expenditures for education in the amount of $14,933,000. Our student aid expenditures were $9,591,000. Auxiliary enterprises had expenditures of $450,000, making our total expenditures before debt service $24,976,000. After debt service, we had excess revenue in the amount of $1,019,000. Pages 2 through 11 detail those figures. On page 12, we have the statement of net assets. As of January 31st, we had total current assets of $12,512,000. Non-current assets, $44,536,000. Our total asset figure was $57,049,000. Current liabilities were $9,228,000. Non-current liabilities, $20,916,000, making our total liability figure $30,144,000. Again, getting to the increase in net assets of $1,019,000. On page 13 through 15, we start our summary of account balances. We had cash in the bank of $6,987,000. Certificates of deposit, $5,850,000, making our total account balance $12,837,000. Pages 16 through 18 detail our investments in CDs. We have restricted the CDs in the amount of $3,850,000 and an unrestricted CD in the amount of $2 million, making our total CD amount again $5,850,000. Page 10 shows the maturity and the renewals of CDs during the month of January. On page 20 are our scholarship amounts. We had a total scholarship amount of $943,624. The next page is our other investments. The Will C. Miller stocks were valued at $189,347. The plant funds were valued at $145,554.
Any questions, comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Who moved to accept the report?
For a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I second.
All opposed,
Aye.
motion carries. Next item is consider an act on resolution asking legislature to grant us authority to move May elections to the uniform general election in November.
Yeah, so this is item number 7 in your board pack. And so Representative King, we had discussed, I think we talked about it last year, about the possibility of opening up a window for us to make an election to select to move our elections from May to November. There was a window open in 2016 for us to make that election to move. We decided not to take advantage of that. And this bill that he has proposed would grant us the authority to move the election from the May to the November. It's not forced. It would just be our option to exercise if we so choose, if it passes. And so what he asked me to do is to get a resolution on behalf of the board asking him to draft that bill. And so on the second page, you have a draft of that resolution, just kind of citing that, you know, it has become increasingly difficult and expensive to continue with May elections. County administrators aren't required to help us in the May election. And what we found, at least in the recent past, is we've had an increased number of runoff elections. And those runoff elections interfere with the elections for us. So what the counties generally do is say, we got to administer the runoff and we can't help you with yours. So just kind of lays out, you know, the reasons why we're asking for this. And like I said, this is not binding. We would have to make a separate decision whether we exercise that option or not. But this, if it passes, this would give us the authority to be able to make that selection. The caveat there is, I think we spent about $7,000 on the last election versus, you know, the estimated, you know, 70, 80,000 that we had if we had to do it all on our own and rent machines and hire the staff all on our own. The trade-off, and you can see with the turnout, is turnout. You know, so you're going to have a lot more turnout in a November election than you do in a May election.
Would there be any provision in case we have a three-way race and it's not a 50% winner? Then you have to have
he did ask me about that, and you know, since he's crafting the bill, we can ask him to. Right now, it would have to be a majority, 50% plus. But he said that Laredo is asking him something similar, and they're asking him to change it to a plurality, much like the school board. And if there's more than 2 candidates, then just whoever receives more would be elected into office.
Okay, that makes sense.
And we can certainly add that to the resolution to include a request to move it to a plurality instead of a majority.
That would prevent an extra
election.
Yeah. Motion
Any other
to,
comments?
I move that we, for the resolution made by the legislature, asking the legislature to grant us the authority to move the May election to November.
We
second,
have a second.
second,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is consider an act on March 2021 board meeting date.
Yes, sir. We're asking if the board would consider moving the board meeting to a week later in order to not meet during spring break. So that would be from March 18th to March 25th.
Any objections or comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll move.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is review TASB update 40 legal policies and act on local policies. See attached list.
Okay, so this is item number 9 in your board packet. And I think last month, Mr. Moreno had requested what local language was going to change. So this packet that you received tells you, the changes. The strikeouts are with the red, and then of course the blue is the new language, and it kind of goes through, what policies on the local side, how they were changing. There's nothing really significant other than the addition of that DHC local, which deals with child abuse and neglect reporting. That you see that entire section is in blue. That's a new section. So it's a new local that will that agrees and follows the legal aspect. And those are really that's the major change on the local side. Everything else is just cleanup language, looks like.
Any questions? Comments? We'll entertain a motion.
I so move, accept the changes.
There a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is consider an act on strategic plan 2021-2026 goals.
Yes, sir. So on this one, you have the memo there, item number 10. Again, we continue working on our strategic plan for the 2021, which we propose to begin fall of 2021, running through summer of 2026. And so here are the 3 broad goals that we that are going to anchor our strategic plan. The first, and really this follows the student. So from the beginning of the student to attracting them to the institution while they're here, and then finishing them up. So goal 1 is what we call our start enroll, that SWTJC will foster a sense of inclusivity and engagement for all students and stakeholders with empathy, care, and outreach. Goal 2, the persist and succeed, the middle portion. SWTJC will champion opportunities for student success. And then the completion on number 3, goal 3, complete and ascend. SWTJC will increase personal, professional, and community growth. And that should be a period there and strike out through expanding opportunities. And so the next step is, under each of these goals, we're going to have specific objectives that are going to say, what we're going to do to move that goal forward. And it's going to be an X to Y by Z. So we're going to move this metric from a certain percentage to another percentage in a given amount of time. And that's what our team is working on right now. And once we have those objectives identified, again, we'll bring those to the board. So you have an opportunity to see what it is that we're proposing to focus on, and then give us your input and see if we're headed in the right direction that we have laid out. Attached to that is also, so we're building the strategic plan, and if you look in the second page, we've adopted the purpose statement, the mission statement, the value statement, and the strategic goals. So we're starting to fill it up. And if you look on the next page, you can kind of see a kind of a flow chart. So we filled out the first page, and we filled out the goals. And then under that, you see objectives, which is coming next. So we'll bring that back to the board once we get the objectives. And each of those goals will have a set of anywhere from 1 to 5 objectives under them. And then once we get it to that point, then we take that document and share it with our departments, our divisions, and then they start identifying what activities support those objectives. And so this gives us, March and April to finalize. Hello, Ms. Lada, how are you?
Hi.
To finalize those objectives. And then that gives us the rest, May, June, July, and August to identify those activities so we can hit the ground running in the fall.
Any questions or comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to accept the plan as proposed.
I
There's a
second.
All in favor, say aye.
second. Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. It is now 7:32 p.m. and the board will convene in closed session in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Codes, Section 551.071 and Section 551.074 to consider consultation with attorney, Texas Code, Section 551.071, consider vice president's contracts, Texas Government Code, Section 551.074, see employment terminated, resign, retired, new hires, transfers, Texas Government Code, Section 551.074. We're now in